My name is Ed Nardi, Chair of the Natural Resources Commission, and I am calling this public meeting to order at 7 p.m. Tonight's NRC meeting will be a hybrid in-person and Zoom meeting. We have a microphone set up on the commission table, and plans will be projected through the TV monitor. If you are presenting via Zoom, please turn on your audio and microphone when it is time for you to speak. Following the presentation by the petitioner and questions from the commission, members of the public will have the opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment. Please identify yourself with name and address for the record. You can also raise your hand from your phone by dialing *9 and use *6 to unmute. All video screens will be turned off with the exception of any commissioners attending virtually and the current petitioner. Once the commission has acted on the application, the petitioner is free to leave the meeting. In the event of any technical difficulties, all matters on the agenda that have not been heard will be automatically continued to the October 11th meeting. Please note that the meeting is being recorded. At this time, I would ask the commissioners to introduce themselves. Sarah?
Sarah Grimwood.
Nick?
Nick Pappas.
Bill?
Bill Cremeza.
All right, thank you, guys. First agenda item is a public comment period. It's limited to 10 minutes, 2 minutes per speaker. And again, the public comment is limited to items that are not on the agenda. So, do we have anybody who would like to make a public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll move to the next item. Commissioner comments. Bill, Nick, Sarah, anything to add?
No.
All right. We move on to the director's update.
Yes. So we had quite a storm last Friday, and Will has been very busy with the Trails Committee, stewards and volunteers. They have cleaned up over 40 trees from conservation land trails, including 10 at Fairyland alone. So we must have had like a little microburst there. And some were just limbs and branches, but some were 30, 40 inch DBH trees. So he's been very busy. He also has coordinated an effort at Punkatassett. He did an invasives removal effort there today at the potato patch, which is just before Hutchins Ponds, and they focused on removing some mostly bittersweet that was climbing up a number of trees in the potato patch. So this is the before picture, and this is the action shot, and then this is one of the after photos.
Wow.
Yeah, so pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Let's see, Warner's Pond Dam removal. We had for the kickoff meeting today for the preliminary design, Ed and Bert, along with Anna McEwen from Recreation, Saul Ibarra from Public Works, met with EA and their team. And we also had a neighborhood group discussion again with Ed. Gary Kleiman was able to attend. Bert, I, and Select Board, our NRC liaison, Mark Howell, as well as Megan Zamuto, and we met with 4 people from the neighborhood. So Anna Feldwig, John Coleman, Matt Kaiser, and Terrio, what's his name? Greg. Thank you, Greg Terrio. Yeah. And it was an 1.5-hour discussion. I think it was productive. They have a lot of questions. Megan, our deputy town manager, said, I'm taking notes. We want to hear your questions. She's gonna take notes and get that back out to them, and then we'll populate their questions. And we also asked them to identify what additional alternatives they would like us to evaluate as part of this process. So I think it was a good discussion. And then you will see that also related to Warner's Pond, I finally heard back from Byron Rupp from the Army Corps of Engineers. Some in the community have said that the Army Corps will come in and dredge the pond at a 35-65 match from the town. My sense is that it's only when there's a federal interest, which don't believe we have at Warner's Ponds. But I did finally speak with Byron Rupp last Friday, and he said the Corps will do a study to evaluate whether there is a federal interest there. So that is what that letter is that was submitted today, was basically asking the Corps to do that initial study and to do it in their fiscal 24, which begins October of this year. Wouldn't really happen until, likely, their budget doesn't get established really until January of 2024.
So does that mean that, originally we were planning to come to town meeting in April? Does that mean that timeline means that we definitely push everything out?
I
I don't know yet.
I think that's still to be determined. I mean, if there's an answer from the Army Corps before town meeting, then, I mean, I think that the NRC is wise to put the article on the warrant and decide, through the process, whether or not to move the article.
And it's early days. I mean, they
Right.
don't have to make a decision now. I just
Correct.
Yeah, right. Let's see, I mentioned that we had 3 CPA applications that we were going to put in. We did put in 2 of those 3 for the Hillcrest Conservation Land Steps survey design, and also for the Haywood Meadow Wall by Millbrook. I did not put in one for the Barrett House. It was determined that it's more appropriate to use ARPA funding for that, so we'll apply through that program. But we did put in a CPA application for the APOD program at White Pond. Because it's sort of shifted this year, and we learned that like a few days before the CPA application was due. So luckily, that was good. We will ask for 30,000 from CPA and carry the 30,000 that we had in our budget, for the past 2 years, for that program.
When you say it shifted, you mean the price shifted?
So what happened was, Higgins Environmental Associates has been doing this project with the APOD. It's sort of a temporary pilot.
Right.
We were paying for it. We were paying about,
Okay.
between 20 and 30,000 each year. But at this point now they disintegrate after a period of time. So he's saying now you should get the Sentinel APODs, which are a 10-year life expectancy. They've worked
Okay.
so well. All the, decades of cyanobacteria have been removed.
Right.
So you go to the Sentinel APOD and you deploy as needed, and those are 18,000 each. And then it's a $24,000 service contract for
Okay.
him to come annually. And so that's
That's no
the
longer a
difference.
pilot as well.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And how many pods would be needed?
He's recommending 2.
2,
Mhm.
okay.
Yep. So it's a total of 60,000
Mhm.
for, the 2 APODs at 36 plus the 24,000.
Yeah.
Annual, right. We pay for the APODs once.
Right.
But we know now it works well, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's great.
I think we have really good data.
Mm.
There was one minor cyanobacteria bloom early in the season,
Mhm.
and then he was catching mostly pollen,
Yeah.
Hmm.
which is a food source actually for
Or-
cyanobacteria.
Yeah.
So, but last year he was harvesting hundreds of pounds of
Yes.
cyanobacteria. And that was the decades of built up,
Yes.
is what it appears.
Amazing.
It is
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
Great.
Delia, do we know whether, has there been a lot of cyanobacteria in Warner's Pond, or don't we know?
Cyanobacteria occurs in every water body at low levels.
Yeah.
We've never seen the blue-green algae blooms that we've seen it at Warner's, and I'm sorry, at White's, and that's a great question because the
Mhm.
water quality
Yeah,
at Warner's is low DO.
Mhm.
It's warm, it's shallow, and it's not considered a healthy system as
Right.
opposed to White Pond, which is, fairly oligotrophic compared to the eutrophic Warner system. So, but that's no.
okay,
And I'll ask, we meet with John monthly, so I'll ask him about that.
Mm.
okay.
That's an interesting point. We met with the Eagle Scout Grady Flynn, who's proposing to put signage at Town Forest for recognizing Black Concordians. And I did reach out to him to see if funding were not an issue, if he would consider the bronze plaque.
Mhm.
And he thought about it and he said he really felt that because they might need to change the QR code,
That's
you
a
know,
good point.
right.
Yes.
Technology.
technology
Yeah, makes
changes.
sense.
So I said,
Mhm.
that's fine.
Yeah.
And I'll just work with him on the design and, I didn't think he needed to come back. But if
Yeah.
there's any information that you need me to relay to him,
Yeah,
just
no,
let
that's
me
a good
know.
point. I hadn't thought of
Yeah.
that.
Yep. And MBTA Community Zoning Review, that meeting is occurring right now. But if you want to provide comments to the planning division on that process, there's like a QR code
Mhm.
on the town website that you can do anytime. We're considering putting in a garden club grant to redo the pollinator kits that were very successful at Earth Day last year. So I think we will probably put something in for that. That's due next month. And then we're also considering a possible Suasco grant to develop pollinator signs. And that was the original
Oh.
garden club
Mhm.
grant that I had put in last year,
Right.
not understanding that they don't
Pay for
fund
that type of
anything
thing.
other than plants.
Mhm.
But this would be signs, these would be signs that people who have pollinator friendly plantings in their garden will get a sign and
Oh.
a certification so that it just raises awareness around that. And that is it for me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Have you considered whether they would be allowed in the historical district?
No,
Just a thought, because my house is in the historical district.
I will talk to Ann Colony
Yeah,
about that.
yeah,
They would be small.
right.
And I think.
But it'd be
historic
great if
is-
that was
is-
cleared up front.
It's probably seasonal. right?
No, I think they'd be up
Mhm.
all the time, so that,
Really?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, they would be small aluminum signs that you put them in and,
Mhm.
Okay.
I have a pollinator meadow.
Yeah.
I provide cover
Mhm,
during all seasons, food sources,
Yep.
nectar, water.
mhm,
I hadn't thought about HTC and that's a really good
mhm.
point.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
All right. Sarah, do you want to do the continuances? We have two.
Yes, so I move that we continue without discussion. Let's see, are they both the same date? Yes. A notice of intent at 1024 Main Street, DEP file 1371634, and notice of intent at 768 Elm Street, DEP file 1371650, and we're going to continue them to October the 11th.
I second it.
Thank you, Bill. We'll take the vote. Sarah,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
and I am an I as well. All right, we'll move on to our first continuance to be heard this evening. That is a notice of intent for 103 Pilgrim Road, DEP file 137-1653. And who is with us this evening to speak to this? Please come on up. My name is Eric Ward. I'm the owner occupant of the house. Good evening. All right, and I think that what I recall from last time was just adding a detail to demonstrate. I think there was a cantilever and just demonstrating that the height and that cantilever would, assist with the floodplain requirements. And from what I understand, staff is good with that in terms of the detail and the elevations.
Yep.
All right, and also you submitted a project narrative, which was provided as well. All right. Commissioners, any comments in regard to this particular application?
No.
Sarah, you good?
No, I'm all good.
All right. Are there any public comments regarding this application? All right, hearing none, I do believe we have a order of conditions ready to go.
Okay, so I move that we issue an order of conditions for 103 Pilgrim Road, UP file 1371653, to include finding A, standard conditions 1 through 20, and special conditions 21 through 52.
Do I have a second? Thank you, Nick. And we'll take the vote. Sarah,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
and I am an I as well. Good luck with your project, Eric.
That's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I see that Mr. Bailey is here, and so, I'm just wondering if we can just jump to that.
Waiting for that.
Yes.
Oh, sure.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry if we weren't, you didn't actually need to come tonight, so.
wanted to put my hand in, that's all.
Oh, good. Well, come on up. So this is, yeah, we can just jump to close an issue for this one.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So on this issue, on the close an issue,
Mhm.
so that's all it is.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, Sarah, you want to take that?
Okay, so, this is an order of conditions for, 460 Garfield Road, DP file 1371654. Have I got the right one? Yes.
Yes.
With finding standard conditions 1 through 20 and special conditions 21 through 54.
I second.
Thank you, Nick. And we'll take the vote. Sarah,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
and I am an I as well. Thank you. Good luck with your project.
Appreciate it.
All right. Well, now we'll jump back to the new application this evening. First one on the agenda.
Sorry to interrupt, but should we have approved meeting minutes?
Oh,
Oh,
as a matter of fact, we should have. Thank you, Sarah. I was just eager to move on. All right, so we will jump back to approval of meeting minutes. We have two to approve. One is June 28th, 2023, and July 19th of same year. I read them. They look pretty flawless to me. I had no comments.
I was absent for both meetings, so I can't comment.
All right.
I reviewed them. I saw no problems.
Same with me. I reviewed them, no problem.
All right.
I move, shall I move that we approve the minutes for the meetings on July 28th, 2023 and July 19th, 2023?
June 28th.
June 28th, sorry, and July 19th.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick. And the vote, Sarah? Oh, you're not voting. Nick,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
and I am an I as well. All right, now we'll get to our first
Okay.
new application this evening. And that is notice of intent, 256 Bedford Street, DEP file 137-1652. And I believe Oxbow is the representative here who will be discussing this with us.
Hi, yeah, it's Kyle Cormier with Oxbow Associates. I'm also joined by CJ, who is the applicant's son-in-law. The applicant couldn't make it tonight.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us.
Good evening.
Joined by Peter as well, the architect,
Hi.
and Kevin, the engineer.
Great. All right, you want to walk us through the project, Kyle?
Yeah, may I share my screen just to have the plan up while I'm talking?
Mhm.
Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Great. So the proposed project is an addition at the rear of the existing house. The septic has failed upon its inspection, so we are planning on replacing the septic system. And we're also planning on installing a infiltration system, which will capture the stormwater off of the existing and proposed impervious surfaces on site. Specifically the existing house and existing garage and the proposed addition. The site is within riverfront area. All work is outside the inner 100 foot, so all of it's occurring in the 100 to 200 foot area. There is work within the 50 to 100 BVW buffer zone, which includes the new septic and the addition and the repavement of the existing driveway. Work within the 50-foot buffer zone includes removal of pavement, repaving existing pavement, and the infiltration galley next to the existing garage. Currently on site, there's 4,699 square feet of impervious surface, which is approximately 26% of the riverfront area. 392 square feet of existing degraded area will be redeveloped. This degraded area is the existing deck, which has gravel underneath, no topsoil, which under the act is considered degraded when there's no topsoil. 116 square feet of pervious surface, existing lawn will be developed. 300 square feet of lawn will be turned into deck. This is exempt under the act and the bylaw. And it's not included in the calculations that I'm mentioning. 10 square feet of degraded, the existing deck will be converted into lawn. So in total, 1,245 square feet of existing and proposed structures will have stormwater infiltrated, which there is none now. 300 square feet of the existing driveway will be removed adjacent to the existing garage. And a planting area will be implemented in that area. There'll be a decrease of degraded area by 284 square feet after all said is done. And in total, 1,529 square feet of improvement on site with the stormwater and the planting area and removal of pavement. It's hard to quantify the stormwater, but I included that in that number for just for everyone's information. With the planting area, we're proposing 5 mountain laurels or other native species dependent on nursery availability. 1 to 3 gallon pots, 4 to 6 feet on center. This will be seeded with a wildflower mix from New England wetland plants as well. And the typical 2-year reporting after the first growing season. Yeah, Kevin or Peter, do you have anything to add?
I'll speak. I think Joanne is interested in taking care of the wetlands. She bought this property not that long ago, and it's very important for her to be able to stay in this property, and therefore the addition is a first floor bedroom for her so that she can stay in the property. So that's the reason for the addition. But she has like a big, green thumb, and she's very interested in protecting the wetlands and the byproduct of this whole situation is that the septic system is going to be improved, which is obviously very important because right now, with it not working properly on a riverfront, that's not good. Kyle had suggested that maybe they could take away some of the driveway and put in some, wetlands species in that area. And he was a little hesitant in saying that because most people don't like to do that. And Joanne was very happy to do that. And I think the important thing is that section that she's doing, again, she inherited this property with more driveway than she wants or needs. And so she's happy to take away a lot of that and bring it back to natural wetlands species planting. So she's very happy to do that. And that the area that she is going to reduce is right next to the riverfront. So that's sort of the most vulnerable area, so to speak. So I think overall my impression is that with the water infiltration system and a good portion of the driveway. She's giving up 2 parking spots there that she doesn't need or use to plant some native species. I think overall, and the new septic system overall, it's a net benefit to the wetlands, and she's just very happy to be working with Kyle and looking at the proper things to plant, and she will be a good steward of the wetland over time. Yeah, so that I think that's what I wanted to point out.
Peter, that was great. Thank you. And I just want to second, she is the biggest green thumb I've ever seen. She wants to protect the environment, and she comes to our house and makes sure that my plants live, and my wife, because we don't have the same green thumb that she does. But thank you, Peter.
Okay, well, thank you for that. We appreciate it. So one question is, I think in the write-up, it said you were approaching this as a new project versus a redevelopment project,
So
right?
that was initially, that was being proposed as sort of a new development. That has been resolved, and so
Okay.
it is now being proposed as redevelopment.
All right.
The question that we still have, though, is that, we had pointed out that when you have filing come in, something that would have been considered an exempt activity in and of itself comes in as the filing, and it is considered part of the project. So what you're calling exempt needs to be accounted for in your mitigation numbers. And you have to provide that mitigation either in accordance with section F or G of the rest of the regulations. And that's something, I mean, we hear this a fair amount.
Yep.
And DEP has confirmed on multiple projects that it's basically in for a penny, in for a pound. So once you file, all work is under review.
And typically we get that in a kind of a
And it's in a tabular
a
form.
tabular form, right? Based
Yeah.
on the,
Right, so
25,
by
50,
zones,
by
right,
zone.
what changes, what impact and what mitigation in the 0 to 25, the 25 to 50, and obviously that's not the case. Well, some of it is.
Some of it's, yeah.
Right, some of
Some
it is
of it
here.
is in, yeah.
Yep. And then 50 to 100, and then, you're not in the inner riparian, but so just that outer riparian. So just to sort of quantify that it helps us understand the existing condition, the proposed condition, and the delta, and then how that gets mitigated. So just for clarity.
Right. So that's something we would have to see in any revisions going forward.
Right.
To better understand and ultimately agree with.
Right.
All right. And then I just had one question on is that a Caltech chamber kind of infiltration system, Kyle?
Yeah, that's a Caltech C4 chamber,
Okay.
FD C4.
And I certainly the site seems fairly narrow and tight. So understanding you're looking for places to place that, obviously it's in the, within the 50, which is at first blush concerning because it's really a no build zone, but we understand that area is already impacted by pavement, et cetera. But one question is that system extending beyond the pavement on the garage? And if it is there any way of shortening that system or doubling up that system so it stays in that under the impacted area?
Yeah, I'll let Kevin answer that question.
Yeah,
Okay.
so hi everyone, I'm the civil engineer. Yeah, so that's a Caltech FD-C4 chamber. You'll see on the existing house the limit of delineation, and then on the garage we're taking on the plan the right side, because there's 2 downspouts there. And so yeah, that is the driveway area, I believe, that is going to be removed. And there obviously are offsets that are required from the septic tank and the septic pump. So that's why I had located it where it was. And actually by removing that, it does reduce the amount of depth required from the surface of cover that would be required. So with that reduction, I think the client would be committed to which I can confirm, capturing the same amount of roof area. But I think now that would actually be transitioning from pavement to to landscaped area, that actually that cover should be able to be reduced. And I might actually be able to shorten the system, or shorten it and raise the grade while providing the same amount of storage.
Okay, that would be great if you could review that. Obviously, we're sensitive to that issue, so, but if you can keep it within the area that's already impacted by pavement, that would be a good first step.
Yeah, and I think I was pretty close to going to the one chamber section that's thicker. But like I said, with the vehicular cover, I had to make it, had to create a thicker cover section above the chambers. But now that is transitioning, I should be able to switch to the C100 chamber, which should be able to shorten it a good amount. So
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sarah, Nick, Bill, comments? Okay, not hearing that. I'm just taking a look at the last. Any notes?
So I know we're gonna see a table and make sure that we understand the square footage and mitigation. But are there any concerns about, I thought there was concerns about the mitigation, but I'm a bit confused about whether that's all resolved, or we just need to see the table and then confirm.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So we just, yeah, exactly. So I think I'm a little confused too.
Okay.
So I think we just need to see the table so we can just compare. So we make sure that we've got, we understand what the impacts
Yeah.
are. And so usually what we like to see is that the impacts are broken out by structure, so whether it's driveway or shed or garage or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So you capture that, the square footage, and then, by zone. If you need an example, we're happy to provide it. I think it's laid out in the submittal guidelines, but we can
Okay,
provide you an example if you need.
And Carl, I may have just been a bit confused as I was listening, but there was one area that you said that it had no topsoil, so it didn't count. Could you just explain that bit a bit more?
Yeah, so under the act, degraded is considered no topsoil or has existing impervious. So underneath the existing deck.
Impervious. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
okay. All right, so with that, would you all like to continue out to the next meeting? Oh, before I go, public comment, please. You see any?
No.
All right. Now we'll move on. You guys, would you like to continue to the 11th?
One question
October?
for you.
Yes.
Are we clear on what we need to produce for the next meeting? Will you be sending like a summary or something to Kyle, just so that we get a sense of that?
No, I think we're talking it out now. And
Okay,
if you're taking notes, I think you can have it. You can always reach out to staff and ask them a question, but I think that lies with you in terms of gathering the information you need from the meeting tonight.
I understand. Are you comfortable, Kyle, with that they've answered your questions?
Yeah, I just want clarification on one thing. So I think the biggest thing you want to see is the square footage of the new deck, which I did not include in the calculations because it's exempt, but you want that included for the mitigation purposes.
Correct. So just
Okay.
to clarify, it's not considered exempt when it's part of a larger project.
Right. As you said, in for a penny, in for a pound.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll also look into shortening the chambers now that there's no vehicular loads that are going to be going above it.
Perfect.
Thank you very much for answering those questions.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
All right. And again, just to confirm, October 11th makes sense for y'all in terms of coming back before us?
Yeah. When do you need the revisions by?
Next Friday, noon next
Okay.
Friday.
Yeah, that works.
Great. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Look forward to
Thank you.
seeing you back
Thank you.
next meeting.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. We have a request for determination of applicability. That is at 475 Monument Street, RDA file 23-11.
Yes.
And who do we have this evening to?
Yeah, Joe Cataldo,
Hi, Joe. Can I have your address as well for the record?
23 Village Inn Road in Westminster, Mass.
Thank you. All right. You want to give us a brief overview of the issue at hand?
Yeah, so this home was struck by a car coming up on a year ago now. Shifted the house about 2 feet off of the foundation. Couldn't be salvaged, so we are going to remove the structure and we have to rebuild the foundation, bring it all back up to code while still making it look historic because of the historical societies involved. So we need to do a whole new foundation, mud slab, framing up to code, as well as windows and doors with maintaining the historical appearance. And we are going to be using the existing footprint, not expanding in either direction, going back exactly how it was.
Gotcha. So in essence, a replacement in kind, but meeting some of the current code considerations
Exactly.
and historic, as you say.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Well-
there's also an existing patio. There was a brick patio
Yes.
that is also being replaced in kind. The bricks have been removed, stockpiled, and that will be replaced in the same footprint.
Correct.
All right. Questions from the commission?
Seems
Sarah?
pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Sounds like a series of unfortunate incidents, but
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
yeah. All right. I don't think the commission has any questions. Are there any public comment regarding this application? Okay. Seeing none. Do we have a order of conditions?
We have an issue, a negative.
Oh. Okay, Sarah, you want to take that on?
Yep. So, I'm issuing a negative determination number 3 for 475 Monument Street, RDA file 2311. With the following conditions. Number 1, all work shall be completed within the existing footprint of the house and no closer to the wetlands than existing conditions. Number 2, erosion control shall remain in place until the work is completed and the site is fully stabilized. And 3, following the work, an as-built plan shall be submitted to the Natural Resources Commission and Building Department demonstrating compliance with the reconstructed addition and patio within the existing footprint.
We have a second.
Second,
Thank you, Bill. And the vote, Sarah?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Bill?
aye.
And I am an aye as well. Good luck with the project, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is an enforcement order, military offices, 91 and 97 Lowell Road, and 105 and 13B Kais Road, DEP file 137-1315. Please come up to the table if you'd like. How you doing? Very good, thank you.
My name is Jim White, and this is Dan Bailey, who is my lawyer. So you can tell me what this is all about.
Well, I think as I understand it, Jim, it's, under the initial order of conditions, certain plantings were to go in, as part of the project. And of course, some compensatory storage was to be created as well. And I believe, following up on that, either the plans were received or illegible, so we couldn't determine if that storage was in fact created. And I also think that, in talking with staff, that there was a potential to modify or lessen the plantings required. Perhaps, given the history, that perhaps the original landscape architect or whoever you hired may have not accounted for all the native species that were present at that point. But it still seems to fall short of the requirement of, or, were all the plantings done? And if not, I think you could propose a modification to that. And we still need documentation of the compensatory storage.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
I believe that's it, Delia, if you,
I think that
Yeah.
okay.
I
So,
just
so
want to make
just,
sure I wasn't missing anything. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, first of all, let me say something. Delia and I have been talking about this for a long time. I want to make it clear to everybody that we're not here because I'm trying to be difficult or because I'm trying to save money. We're here because I think, and my proposals make this point, that the site is better off being left as it is. I'm out there every day picking up on the town's land, picking up on my land, pulling out the invasives by hand. I care about how this looks. So it's just the background. I'm not here to be a wise guy. The two issues that you mentioned, to a certain extent, there's some legal stuff involved. I just assume skip the legal stuff. We have to get into that.
Great. We can skip the legal stuff for now. That's great.
Can I leave now? Save you a lot of money if you do. On the, it's technical, on the additional compensatory storage. There's a letter from my engineer, and it goes back because the same material has been submitted for quite a while. That there's more than almost twice as much compensatory storage provided on this site as provided before the project began. The missing compensatory storage is de minimis, and my engineer says it accomplishes nothing to provide it.
so I'm gonna back up a little bit, because I think I'm just gonna try and frame this.
Delia, I am entitled to finish my statements before you
Okay.
hop in.
But I think we received an engineer's letter that was dated last month with plans that,
Mind if I finish my statement first and then you can finish
please do.
yours? I'm sorry to do that, but I think it's
Well,
important. You're
I think it's,
interrupting
you
my
need to be
train
clear
of thought.
about,
You know
we
what I'm
haven't
saying?
seen these plans
Uh,
and we can't read them.
You saw I don't want to get into plans. I mean, we can always provide plans that you can read. Let's talk about I'd like to talk about the substance.
Go ahead, Jim.
So on the compensatory storage, I mean, it's all there in detail. If you need more copies of plans, I'll be happy to give them to you. But the bottom line is that it accomplishes nothing. And as my engineer says, to provide that storage, which has to be at the upper level, you're going to have, you're familiar with the market. If you look at walking down an old road, you look at the left-hand side where it's been cleared out along the brook. You're going to have to dig that area out. It's going to, as he says, it could cause a problem with the bank. It could cause a problem with the marshiness in the brook for no reason. It makes it look lousy and it accomplishes nothing. So that's my reason for that is the engineer says that it doesn't accomplish anything. It's and you've got more storage to begin with at lower levels. So you've got a lot more storage where it counts.
And,
But-
and that may be 100% accurate, but we cannot confirm that. So hopefully your storage has been provided and that issue is not an issue. And
Well,
it's just the mitigation
It
plan.
has
things
not
that-
been 100% provided, but it's been provided, as the engineer says, so that what is missing doesn't amount to anything.
But so
Well,
let's just get some plans in so that we can understand that.
You've seen them in the past. I'm happy to send you the plans.
I think as Delia states, I think the issue is that the plans received were illegible, so staff just can't confirm the issue at hand.
Fair enough. I'll send you plans that you can read.
That'd be great. That'd be a good start.
Then you read them, and hopefully you will agree that it's the minimus thing, but if that's the only question, that's fine.
Well, let me stop there. Is that for the moment, Delia, the issue with the compensatory storage?
Yes, I mean, I would be delighted if the flood storage was, provided, you're saying it's not 100%. It will need to be 100%. We'll have to figure out how to get to that.
My point.
Okay, so we'll see where we're lacking, but let's just get the plans in to review
I'm sorry,
them.
Julia, I'm not gonna stop there. I am telling you, I have told you, it is not gonna be 100%. the difference amounts to nothing. So if you're just asking me to submit
Okay,
plans.
so if it's
so we can turn it down,
99.9,
huh?
if it's 99.9, I think that's, you know, but if it's 80%, I mean, I'm
That's
just throwing
fair.
out,
That's fair enough. I'll buy that. If it's 80% of them, I wouldn't be here asking you. It's 99.9.
Okay.
And if we're, that, fair enough with me.
Okay, let's make sure we can all get to that
I'll
same
get you the
determination.
plans. No problem.
Okay. Step one.
On the plantings themselves. The problem starts with their initial preparation. They were done by a landscape architect on the South Shore. He came out once and looked at the site. And you know, plans are drawn, plans are drawn in advance when you get to see what conditions look like as you're going on, and things change. And that's what happened here. The plans were done by somebody essentially sitting in an office, not appreciating as the project went along what happened and where we are. Let me start at the rear with pictures. I mean, just to show you what, in terms of plantings, you've seen them, I'm sure. But you can see the post-development and pre-development, the way the site looks. I mean, I like I said, when I started this whole thing, I was, and you can see here, this one here, this picnic ground was just all woods and stuff before. So a lot has been done. I've pulled out the invasives. I've done a lot of planting on the site. What's left to be done, I'm not opposing it. I mean, I will be happy to put in more plantings if there's a reason to do it. My contention is that the town is well off the way it is. It's used as a very attractive picnic area now. A lot of plants can't be put where they were placed because the water level is higher than people anticipated. If you put plants in back of the fence and stuff like that where they were shown, coming into the Japanese knotwood, you can't get at it and move it. But my real point is it's very attractive the way it is. Putting plantings in the front of this is going to destroy the whole park-like appearance of it. But it's a matter of de gustibus non est disputatum. I mean, I feel very strongly that this site serves the town well the way it is, and that there's no reason for additional plantings. But I'm not opposed to it. You're just going to ruin the way it looks. But people can differ on that, so I'm not going to make any legal arguments. I'm just saying I think it works. It looks the way it should, and it should be left alone.
Yeah, well, I think we can appreciate your perspective on that. Although I think it is important to adhere to the order of conditions. So and again, you may get a lot of credit for what is existing or what was existing, if you will. But I think it would be fair to say that I think you would have to meet the required coverage that was expected to be met with the project. And it may be a lot less than what was initially planned, to your point. But I think that would be a minimum threshold. I don't think we can make exceptions to the rule as we go.
Repeat that. I'm not sure I got what you were saying. So
In other words, I assume under your order of conditions, there was a planting plan and, and there's a certain coverage for plants or trees or, whatever your landscape architect proposed. My understanding in talking to Delia is that there may well be more than the existing plants out there, may have been more than suspected initially, so that you're burdened to plant additional plants to meet the requirement of the order of conditions will be less. But in all circumstances, you have to meet the appropriate coverage that is required of you in the order of conditions. And I certainly can't tell if that's 2 plants or 20 plants or whatever it is. So I think it's your obligation to provide us with, this is the existing condition now, and this is what is required to meet those conditions under your permit.
if you did that, you did that, you would end up intruding on the open space. You'd lose the open space. Part of it, you can't go there because I was required to put in a drainage pipe. As a result of the drainage pipe going in, you have an area which is now filled with cat o' nine tails, where plants were supposed to go. And the thing just physically doesn't set up the way the plants thought they were gonna set up. So I'm happy to plant plenty of plants if you want, but I wish we could talk about whether it's the right thing to do rather than adhere to a set of plans which really are inappropriate, but look, they want plants.
I'm not necessarily saying adhere to a set of plans necessarily. I think taking a look at what is out there today, you have the ability to modify and perhaps lessen to a significant degree of what you may have to do. I don't think it's just static in terms of the existing plans, because we understand things have changed and that may be a benefit to you ultimately in terms of less plantings.
Ed,
Yeah, Nick.
let me state what I think Ed is asking a little differently. There was a plan, right? And the perception, your perception, Jim, now is that the situation is different than was anticipated. And the implementation of that original plan may not make sense. What's required at this point is an analysis that says this is what the plan was. This is what the condition is like now, which is different than what was anticipated. And here, therefore, this is the revised plan. Okay, that's what we need. We need something that documents the situation. I understand your point of view, but it's just a point of view. It's not a documented statement. Okay, we need it in writing.
All right, so that's fair enough. So I'll give you analysis as best I understand it of sort of the percentage or the theory behind the coverage that was approved and why conditions have changed and why it comes out however it comes out and why I think that should be.
Although I think we need it in plan form,
Right.
not narrative form, because I don't think we can analyze a narrative.
Right, we need numbers and tables.
I think you can take your existing plan perhaps and either overlay that with existing conditions and then suggest how you would meet the requirement of the order of conditions.
Fair enough.
That's all.
I'll get you some nice tables. We'll all look at them and see what we think.
Well, that'll be great. Tables with a revised plan would be most
Yeah,
helpful.
I bet you, yeah,
That'd be great.
glad to do it.
All right. Thank you.
Do we need a date by which or a,
There are dates that are laid out in the enforcement order.
okay.
All right. Are you good with those dates,
I
Jim?
haven't seen the enforcement order.
No, so I can pull it up. Is it here? So the mitigation, let's see, either you would plant what was already approved by October 11th, or if you want to revise the plan as Ed and the commission are talking about, then that plan would be submitted by October 4th. And then we have other dates for, you know, when you get us the plans for the flood storage that has been constructed so that can be reviewed. So I could make you a copy of this. So that you can see that.
I made a suggestion. I asked the board to maybe continue this hearing till the next time without, I haven't seen that. And continue it and we can consider it a future meeting and then I'll have a chance to respond to what it says and think about it.
So here's my concern about that. You and I, as you said, we've been talking about this. This permit expired in 2019, if I recall. We've been having multiple conversations over the past number of years about resolving the flood storage and the mitigation
So what?
plans.
So what?
So let me finish, please. So I offered you an opportunity to not go to enforcement it was a creative approach to giving you time to file a notice of intent so that you could prepare a revised mitigation plan. You could reduce, I put in the letter, you could change your flood storage because we all agree that where it was initially proposed was not ideal. You chose to file an application proposing nothing. So I think at this point, and it said in that initial letter, you know, that enforcement is really the next step. And my recommendation to the board is that we have sort of gone far enough down this path of, let's just do this, you know, and figure something out at the next meeting. And I think the other piece of it is that the mitigation plantings, you know, we're running out of time to get those installed.
Absolutely, right.
This season,
Yep.
and I think that's what, you know, the goal of this is to have this, just let's get this figured out and resolved, and then it can,
Well, I haven't read that. What is it called to have happened by October 4th?
a plan.
Yeah, a plan by a qualified professional, and that's my concern is you're getting someone engaged and out there and preparing a plan by October 4th is going to be awfully difficult.
You have the
Well-
ability to, if you have the ability to request an extension, it's laid out on the next page.
And with all due respect, if you've been talking about it for a number of years, I don't think this should come as any surprise.
I can tell you, I'll do it. I think you guys are dead wrong. We've got a couple of little issues here.
Hey, Jim, hey,
Yeah, I'm fine.
you know, it's,
Forget it.
I'm not sure that's going to be a productive
I think
discussion.
you're right.
All right. Thank you. Let us know if you want to request a extension and we'll,
Okay.
Go from
that
there.
works.
okay,
Thank you.
Okay,
thank you.
So does the commission want to take a vote on that enforcement order?
Oh, you want to? Sure.
You have to vote on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that. So, I think we do want to take a vote on the enforcement order. So,
All right,
Sarah, could I have a motion, to vote on the issuance of the enforcement order?
Okay, I make a motion to issue an enforcement order for, thank you. For military officers, registered LLP at 71-107 Lowell Road. DP file 137-1315.
I second it.
Yeah, you don't need the DEP file number.
Okay, so
Okay,
that's the previous one. Okay.
so we can strike the DEP file number.
Okay.
All right. Bill, thank you for the second
Second.
and the vote. Sarah,
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
All right. And
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And I'm an I as well. Thank you. All right, we are moving on to a COC. Delia?
I see, I was just gonna, say that this is, there was a wetlands approval for a 4-lot subdivision at, McCallor Lane, it was appealed. Commission issued an order of conditions that was appealed by a neighborhood group. DP issued a superseding order that upheld the commission's decision, so the superseding certificate is under DEP's purview, and the the wetlands bylaw, that piece of the order of conditions is under commission approval. And so there are just, we're recommending a partial certificate of compliance under the wetlands bylaw to allow the required invasives removal and mitigation plant monitoring to be provided from last year. Sorry, there's 3 years of invasive plant removal and monitoring that need to be provided. So
Right.
that will be the only outstanding item on this.
And you have seen nothing to date on that? Or have you seen
We
some?
saw a report that was provided by Dave Crossman that said that the plantings went in, but we haven't seen any of the monitoring reports talking about the health and condition and success of the invasives removal efforts or the health of the mitigation plantings.
Okay, all right. Um,
And I do see that both Hope Beckman, who is the applicant, as well as Rachel Watsky, who's the attorney, are both on the call. If there's anything
Yeah.
additional that's.
any comments from Hope or Rachel?
Yep. Good evening. As Delia said, I'm Rachel Watsky. I'm counsel for Ms. Beckman. Primarily, I've been assisting with you saw me a couple months ago with the conservation restriction for this property. That was one of the conditions or the special conditions under the local order that's been recorded and managed. We did receive this morning the certificate of compliance for the superseding order, part of it from the DEP. I believe I emailed that to Delia this morning. So we do have that. It was our understanding that Dave Crossman had been retained to take care of this and do the monitoring and send reports. And unfortunately, we found that he's not been particularly responsive. He's not responding to any contacts, and hasn't really been particularly responsive since, I believe, May or June, which has been, as you can probably guess, a bit frustrating for us. We are in contact with a wetland consultant who has done plenty of the invasive species monitoring reports previously and done that work in multiple other sites. And he is coordinating with us to set up to do the monitoring and get reports in. I believe that of course, I don't recall off the top of my head which condition it is. I know the reports are supposed to be submitted to you by December 1st of each year. And he would be getting in the report for 2023. And then I believe it's one more year for 2024.
And we would need last year's report for 2022.
Yeah, I understand I know that's needed.
So you're saying that he didn't do that?
Well,
yes. So then I think
we didn't know that Dave Crossman was out of contact until.
Okay.
Right, so the 2 years then, this year and next year.
2 years will suffice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Appreciate the update on that. All right. So with that, I think we'll take a vote on the partial COC. Bill or Nick, you want to give us a motion on that for the partial?
I'll move that we issue a partial certificate of compliance for Beckman 2438-4155 McCalvert Lane, DEP file number 1371419.
Second.
Thank you, Sarah. The vote, Sarah?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And I am I as well. Thank you.
Thank you
Have a
very
good
much.
evening.
I will get the updated monitoring reports to Delia as soon as we have them.
Perfect.
Much
Thank
appreciated.
you, Rachel.
Thank you.
All right. And we have one last item on the agenda under other business, Memorial Subcommittee.
Yes, so they have submitted a CPA request for assistance for planting trees as part of the memorial, as part of the 250 commemoration.
250 trees for the 250 commemoration.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're looking for a letter of support, and I think those are due in November. And so this, I may have jumped this a little bit because I haven't prepared a letter for you. But if you would like to provide a letter of support to the committee in that application, I know that they would appreciate, they've asked.
Oh, sure. I don't see that they're all native, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
just checking that
So
box.
Krista Collins, formerly with SVT, and Gary Clayton, formerly with Mass Audubon, are both on that committee. And yeah, so they're, yes.
Great.
It's going to be a nice.
I'm excited about that application. I actually asked if I could be, one of the, but I don't know yet. I wasn't at the meeting yesterday, so I don't know what I got signed, but but I said that was my first choice.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's great.
Yeah.
Nick, Bill, you're good with the support letter?
Yeah.
I'll draft something up for your signature.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right, very good. And I think with that, we are adjourned for the evening.
Great.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
See you. Good